One of the biggest mistakes you can make in fantasy football is having your decision making being solely affected by recency bias. Now sure, it can play a part in some decision making, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. The last thing you should be saying is you're definitely drafting or avoiding a player just based off what they did for you last year. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone is doing well out there today. We're talking about some recency bias, and this is how we're going to do it. We're talking about two players at each position. One player that was affected in a positive way due to recency bias, and then another player who was affected negatively by recency bias. We're then going to go through their 2024 outlook and see if the bias is warranted or not. But before we do, I have a quick question for you. Have you gotten your draft guide yet? If not, now is the time to do so because fantasy football drafts are right around the corner. All you need to do is head over to tfhdraftguide.com to get yourself one right now. It's already live, it's already active, there's content up there for you to consume. But it's still a little bit early in the off season, so we're going to continue adding and updating that bad boy all the way up until week 1 of the NFL season. Now there is another way to get a draft guide, this time for free, and it's by signing up on Underdog Fantasy. Just head over to Underdog Fantasy or download the app. Create a new account using the referral code Headliners. Then all you have to do is make your minimum $10 deposit and you're good to go. You're going to get a free special pick added to your account. You're going to get a first time deposit bonus of up to $250 in bonus cash, and you're going to get a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. Now, if you're the type to just want to play the lottery, hit the like button on this video. If we can get over 800 likes on this video, I'll pick a random commenter from down below and give them a free draft guide. So you know what to do. Hit the like button, leave your comments down below, and let's talk about a few players that are affected by recency bias. And we'll start off at the quarterback position with Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud. Now for Trevor Lawrence, he's the current quarterback 17. Last year, finished as the quarterback 14 on the season. A lot of high hopes for him in 2023, and they just didn't pan out. But he has had back-to-back seasons of 4,000 yards passing. Also had back-to-back seasons with 25 plus total touchdowns. Don't forget that last year, Christian Kirk missed 5 games. Zay Jones, he missed 8 games, and the receivers of Trevor Lawrence dropped passes all over the place. How many, you ask? 25 drop passes. That's good enough for 5th most in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence uses his legs just a little bit though. 57.9 points from rushing is great, but now he's lost Calvin Ridley, but added in rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU and Gabe Davis. Now, as for CJ Stroud, he's the current quarterback 5 overall, finished last season as the quarterback 13 overall. 4,100 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in his rookie season, and he missed 2 games last year. Now, we also know that Nico Collins missed 2 games. Tank Dell, he missed 6 games, and now this Houston offense has added Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. He arguably has the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. He also uses his legs just a little bit. He scored 34.7 points from just rushing alone last season. So is the bias against these players warranted? Well, for Trevor Lawrence, I say no. The dude is way too low here in 2024, and he should greatly outperform his ADP with everything he has going for him going into this season. For CJ Stroud, how about this bias that is boosting him up? Is it warranted? Yes. Yes, it is. There are very few things that you can look at, that you can find, that are going against CJ Stroud in 2024. This kid could have a huge season. On to the running back position, it's Tony Pollard and Bijan Robinson. Now for Tony Pollard, he's the current running back 26 overall. Last year, he finished as the running back 18 on the season. He burned a lot of people last season who drafted him in the 2nd round though. But he's had 1,300 plus total yards in back-to-back seasons. Now he's in Tennessee, where there are 308 vacated touches from Derrick Henry. The new coaching staff in Tennessee brought Tony Pollard in during free agency for a reason. Now sure, Tajay Spears is still going to have a role in this offense, and that's what we actually want. But Tennessee also added a couple pass catchers in Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. But I've been saying this for years. Tony Pollard loses efficiency when he's overworked. He is better in a split backfield. If he is sharing work with Tajay Spears, we could see similar production here in 2024 with maybe even a little bit less volume. Now, as for Bijan Robinson, he's the current running back 3 overall, finished last season as the running back 12 on the season. But Arthur Smith is gone. Everybody praise the fantasy gods out there that Arthur Smith is gone. Now, despite some weird usage, Bijan still had 1,400 total yards and 8 touchdowns. But now we have new head coach Raheem Morris, and he's already come out and said, listen, we're going to get the ball to Bijan, and we're going to get it to him a lot. Plus, we also know we're going to have improved quarterback play in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins, which means a lot less defenders in the box. Last year, opposing defenses, they weren't scared of the likes of Desmond Ridder. They could stack the box against Bijan. Not going to be able to do that against Kirk Cousins. Plus, Bijan arguably has the best fantasy schedule when it comes to playoff games, including the championship game where he faces off against the Washington Commanders. So back to the question. Is the bias against Tony Pollard warranted? No, he's still going to have a large role on a team with an improved overall offense. He should definitely outperform his current ADP of running back 26. But how about Bijan Robinson? Is the bias that is boosting up his price warranted? Yes, it most definitely is. If this dude can get 1,400 total yards in a bad situation, imagine what the hell he could do in a good situation. On to the wide receiver position, it's T. Higgins and Puka Nacua. We'll start off with T. Higgins, the current wide receiver 26 overall. Last season, finished as the wide receiver 46, and he was a huge disappointment last year. Only had 42 catches for 656 yards and 5 touchdowns. But he's been a top 12 wide receiver in the past. He's currently playing for a fat stack of cash. It's a contract year for T. Higgins. And now Tyler Boyd is gone, which frees up 98 targets in this offense. It really also hurt him that Joe Burrow was out and missed a lot of games in 2023. But T. Higgins showed us once again what he was capable of by having 4 games over 15 fantasy points just last season. Now for Puka, he's the current wide receiver 7 overall, finished last year as the wide receiver 4 overall. 160 targets, 105 receptions, 1,575 total yards, and 6 touchdowns as a rookie. But remember, Cooper Kupp missed 5 games and really struggled to stay 100% healthy all year long. The Rams also brought back Demarcus Robinson this year, and he caught fire the end of 2023. Honestly, this year, I could see somewhere in the neighborhood of a 10 to 15% reduction in production when it comes to Puka Nacua. We're going to have a full year, at least starting the year, with Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, Kyren Williams as well. A 15% drop-off may sound like a lot, but it's still going to put him in the neighborhood of 90 catches for 1,300 yards and 5 touchdowns, making him a Verge top 12 overall wide receiver. So the question is back. Is the bias against T. Higgins warranted? No, I'm not going to write off a stud because of one bad year. I believe he should definitely outproduce wide receiver 26 this season, trying to secure that fat contract. Now, as for Puka, the bias that is boosting his price due to a record-setting rookie year, is it warranted? I don't think so. Last year was the perfect storm for Puka to find success. He's still going to have a good year. He's going to be a solid wide receiver, but top 7 may be a little bit too expensive. Which only leaves us the tight end position, the football kind, of course. It's Pat Freiermuth and Trey McBride. Now for Patty F, he's the current tight end 16 overall. Last year finished as the tight end 30 on the season. He missed 5 games last year. He had to deal with below average quarterback play, whether it was Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, or Mason Rudolph. That's going to be better this season, and I don't care if it's Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. He was the tight end 8 overall just 2 seasons ago. Deontay Johnson, the target hog in this offense, is now gone. He's in Carolina, and there are not a lot of threats in this offense to take away targets from the tight end position. Now, you may be saying, yeah, but Arthur Smith is now in Pittsburgh. I get that. But Arthur Smith was in Atlanta last year, and he targeted his tight ends 174 times. If there's anything that we can rely on Arthur Smith for, It's to target a tight end. How about Trey McBride, the current tight end 4? He finished last season as the tight end 9, and he ended the year with 106 targets, 81 catches, 825 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and didn't even have Kyler Murray until week 10. If you take his average after week 10 and project it over a 17-game season, he would have ended with 119 catches for 1,139 yards and 5 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown is now gone. He's in Kansas City. Rondell Moore is gone. He's now in Atlanta. Zach Ertz is gone. He's now in Washington. They have drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., but damn it, that's a good thing for Trey McBride. We needed something else in Arizona to take away some defensive attention. 100+ targets are still on the table this year for Trey McBride. So, is the bias that's pushing Pat Freiermuth down the draft board warranted? No, he's finally healthy, and in an upgraded offense with targets available, I expect him to outproduce his ADP of tight end 16. How about Trey McBride, though? Is the bias that's making him more expensive warranted? Yeah, I really think it is. On a team that's going to be losing a lot and having to throw a lot, he should have tons of chances to become a top tight end in fantasy football. So you gotta remember, recency bias is going to affect ADP. What our jobs are as fantasy players is to look at that ADP and then look at the 2024 outlook. Can we expect the same thing? Is the situation different this year? A lot of things change from year to year, and you can't just say, hey, this guy did this to me last year, so I'm not going to draft him this year. That right there is a mentality that's going to cause you to miss out on some high-performing studs at times in fantasy football. So sure, recency bias can be used in decision-making, but it shouldn't be the only thing used in decision-making. Now let me know what you think about recency bias down below in the comment section. Do you let it run your decision-making the following year during your fantasy football drafts? It's okay, you can tell me down below in the comment section. I won't tell anybody else. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Remember, as soon as we hit our like goal, I'm going to pick a random commenter from down below to give a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. Now, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, but most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place. Analytics.